In a world where writers, directors, producers, and actors are all fighting to get their films made, comes a podcast that gets into it like no other podcast has ever gotten into it before. So, this summer, hang on to your laptops, because this time, there's no rewrite. Starring Mark Ice Roberts, Rod Tuddy Rinks, and on the ones and twos, Justin Wings Nichols. Let's get into it. Rated R. Under 17. Not permitted without a parent.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Get Into It. We do not have Tootie here with us today.
No Tootie.
No Tootie. I got Davey Dave, though.
I am here.
Davey Dave sitting in, and I've got Justin Wings Nichols.
What's up, guys?
Tootie had to work.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
Well, not only is he busy, but, you know, he's a filmmaker, he's a writer, he's a producer, he's an actor. He's trying to make it, but he's got to pay the bills. He has 3 kids. So he had to go do makeup and do his job today. So the great professional that he is, he said, the show must go on.
The show must go on.
And here we are. Davey Dave, what's going on?
What's happening?
What's happening with you?
Oh, you know, just living the dream every day.
Do you know anything about how Made in Mexico is coming along? I think it's being edited.
It is being edited.
Did you see that picture of
Lilo.
Did you see the picture of Lilo?
Chonies?
Yeah. It almost feels like a Tarantino movie.
It's got that vibe.
I think the film looks pretty good. I think the writing seems pretty on point and creative. I'm really curious. All right, so we don't have to talk too much about that because I have a really important guest here today.
I see.
This is really great because she's a writer. And she's written 2 amazing, I'm going to say 2 amazing books because they're the only ones I've read. She wrote You. She wrote Hidden Bodies, big hits, because they turned You into a TV series. Greg Berlanti. Who was the other?
Sarah Gamble.
Yeah. Turned it into a series for Lifetime. And then the 2nd season is now going to Netflix, which is pretty cool. And you're writing a 3rd book. But first, I just want to introduce you. Her name is Caroline Kepnes. Thank you, Caroline.
Hey.
For being here.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I'll clap too.
And you get applause. You get applause. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I am such a big fan.
For a long time now.
For a long time,
Yeah.
I've been a big fan, but I hadn't read your books.
But stories. Short stories years ago.
The short stories I had read. And I also was always very, very impressed with your career path. And I say that because on this podcast, we talk a lot about where'd you come from, how'd you do it.
Yep.
And it's fascinating. I want to hear about how you became a writer. When did it happen?
For me, it happened when I was a kid, in the earliest sense of like wanting to write, wanting to make things up, playing with my dollhouse, having so much going on that it was like, I can't remember where the mistress lives. I got to write it down.
Really?
It was this dollhouse with this secret room upstairs, so it was either a ghost or a mistress or, you know.
Yeah. How old were you?
A little kid, like, you know, 3rd, 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
Well, 3rd, not 4th. Yeah,
Right.
in 4th grade, you're like, I don't play with dolls.
Right.
You know?
So you would write down the things that your dolls would be doing?
Yes, I was making stuff up, and then I'd go upstairs, and I had to have a record of it so I could keep track with like the soap opera that was going on. And then I just love language. I love to read. I remember learning to read and feeling like really empowered by it. Like, haha, now that no one can lie to me.
Right.
And I think that's the thing about language. You know,
Yeah.
yes, it's empowering.
And when did you really start putting together stories?
In high school, I wrote a short story and I worked on it a lot. And then I sent it to Sassy Magazine. They had this fiction contest, and it was about a girl she's telling me the story about her family. And then at the end of the story, you find out she's dead, and she died of an angel dust overdose. And I don't even know if that's like a thing that's really possible, but I got an honorable mention. They sent me a typewriter. It was amazing. And then they sent me to the school psychologist because it was so disturbing. And I'm like, I don't even know what angel dust looks like. Like, it was just, I like the sound of it.
Oh, they thought you knew.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Right.
That was a real, like, when that typewriter came in the mail, it was a very good, like, positive association of like, look at that. Like, I'm on Cape Cod. I don't know anyone in the business, in the world. And now I have this typewriter.
You were not born in Los Angeles.
No.
You were born in Massachusetts.
I'm a masshole.
Right. Now, you're writing in high school. You get the typewriter. Are you thinking, this is going to this could be what I do in my life? Or
in a dream way, but
Yeah.
not. I'm more thinking, how can I sneak and like make my life so that I get to do this?
Right.
It never felt like something that was going to pay the bills.
But in high school, you knew that if you didn't write, you were not comfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it was something that had to happen, something that had to come out of you.
Amen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, right? I'm a big fan of talent.
Mm.
I love talent because I have none. But
Come on, Mark.
No,
Come on, buddy.
I wasn't fishing. I wasn't
More
fishing.
clapping.
Right?
Come on, no.
I have a great respect for people that do things because they have to, because they'll die if they don't. And I think writers are unique in that way. Like you, and I do know some other writers that just, if their voices aren't being heard, it gets very complicated.
Start to do bad things with that brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. I agree.
Yep.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But
And there's a writer, Wendy Hurd, who tweeted something last week or in an interview. I think she said that, and when you have to write a lot too, so that you're focused more on the talent or the joy of like what you're doing, the process, and you're less attached to the words, so you can better cut things, kill things, and you're focused on what you're making, not on, oh look, I made something.
Right.
And that's the spirit that I read that. I was like, yes, and I think I paraphrased it all wrong, but it was something close to
something
that.
It makes
like
sense,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
It's powerful. It's powerful because I think there are certain things that are in our DNA, and you have to find it, so that you can have some level of balance in your life.
Yeah, and find out why you, like, for me, like, I've always scared so easily, just like very easily terrified. I flinch easily. I could keep myself up every night if I wanted, just being afraid.
Right.
So it was part of my exercising that kind of out of my system.
Did you ever write for an absurd amount of hours where you were like, oh my God, like I have to stop writing?
Yes, I had a magic night in college where I had a psychology paper due and a short story due for a workshop. And
Separately or?
they were
same-
due on the same day
Okay.
because I was an irresponsible idiot. But I'm sitting there and of course, what am I doing? I'm playing Minesweeper, like not working on either. Just like, what if I destroyed my life? What if I don't do either? And then at some point I got into one and I was going back and forth between the story and the paper. And then it was so bright in the room and I was like, Jesus, like, why are there so many light bulbs? Did they all just, and I realized, oh, the sun is up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an addictive feeling. Anytime that you're in flow and time passes and like night turns to day, to me, that's magic.
So you wrote all night?
And many times since. I like that flow.
I don't like
No.
anything where I wake up and I think, oh my God, because then I realize that my day is going to be shot. But of course, I'm not doing anything creative. There's no net balance to my
It's not like when
evening.
you watch Netflix for 10 hours.
Right.
Yeah, yes, because I do that too, but I'm like,
Oh, I feel horrible. Right. So
that's what I did today.
that's the difference. So like some characters in your book, you went to Brown.
Yep.
Is that how you feel about people from Brown?
No. Some of my best friends went to Brown.
Yeah.
But for me, like going there, it was the culture shock because for one reason, I'm from Cape Cod and I grew up there. So I had summer jobs and it's a tourist economy. So it was an adjustment to get to school and be like, oh my God, people really do have like doctor, lawyer parents and like go to private schools. And I'd say where I'm from and they're like, oh, we have a place there. I'm from there too. And I'm like, no, you're not. I make your ice cream. So for me, like I always think about the empathy. Like it's not easy for anyone in that situation. And it's endlessly entertaining to me when people from different backgrounds are like shoved into the same room. And
By the way, I loved you. I loved
Thank you.
Beck,
Yes.
I felt myself categorizing myself.
right.
So as he walked into like the penthouse and the party and the people and how much disdain he had for them, the book makes you feel a certain way about like where you are in life.
Yes.
Which I mean, do you get that a lot?
Absolutely.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I think, I feel like it's that social anxiety that we've all experienced on
That's
some level.
it. Social anxiety.
And that was the magic trick for me in dealing with this character who's a murderer, that putting him in positions where we all relate or we've all known that feeling. I feel like no matter whether you come from like nothing or whether you're rich, like we all know a situation where we feel like we don't belong. And part of us wants to like tell everyone to piss off and part of us wants them to like us.
Yeah, well, it's
True.
it's
That's me every day.
it's bizarre because you start to think, wow, I really ignore all of those social buttons. Like I do. I'll walk into a room, I don't really think about Who's Rich, Who's Not that often. But as I was reading the book, I was like, holy mackerel. Like, I totally feel I've been there, but I've just chosen to ignore it all and to just be above it.
Yes.
But I love Joe because Joe's like...
sensitive to every little thing, because we know that,
little detail of what people are thinking. Do you think like that?
I think I'm oversensitive, and I've been told that I'm oversensitive at various times in my life. So but I feel like, again, like when we don't feel safe, we get edgy and we do get sensitive. And I think I'm a little that way to begin with. Yeah. So it's a talk that I have with myself, like, okay, calm down. That's not as bad as it seems.
Because we all have the voice in our head.
Yes.
Right? Dave's got a funny voice in his head.
What does your voice tell you to
comedy.
do?
It's actually pretty much along the lines of what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but the way that I deal with it, I mean, I don't speak to anybody, and no one understands because I don't say anything.
Private.
I am very private. But I like to crack jokes. Humor's my thing.
But there's a transcript in here that would scare us or show us a whole other side.
I don't think it'd scare you. It's just, hey.
Make us laugh.
It would. I think so. Yeah. But that's just how I release.
Yes.
And that's how I deal with my social anxiety.
Wings
is huge.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wings you're very smart. You have great.
Wow, thanks.
You have great funny comebacks. I think when people are talking about stuff in a room, you always know of what people are talking about. You have a lot of information.
I try to be informed, I guess.
You really are, dude.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you get so informed?
I just try to use my brain and just not let people control me with their ideas and just
That's right.
And
have your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for
I
you
just
guys.
wrote about that today.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
Yep.
We live in a crazy time right now, so.
We really do.
insane.
It really is an insane time. But I love that about Joe, and I always wondered, as I read it, since I know you, I wondered if that voice in your head works at the speed that his voice works.
Yeah, I feel like I write fast and I think fast, and sometimes it's a good thing because I can get a lot of pages done, but it can be a bad thing because then what's in those pages?
Right.
But yeah, I've always had that like hyper brain. That's where like cocaine always fascinated me because I'm like, I think that I was born on cocaine, and I'm
Right.
just like,
It's just in
like
your
always
system,
kind of,
right?
yes.
Right. Like melatonin, it just right. It's just natural.
Yeah, but pot and vodka, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome. That's funny. Yeah, I love the speed of how he ramps up. When he's especially in the second book when he's writing, when he starts to write, and because he's a man that loves literature, I guess that's what makes him think he can be a writer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's writing,
it's the advice they tell everyone who wants to write. Well, you have to read a lot. The first thing you have to do is read, constantly. So he's been doing that his whole life.
So and he loves the classics, and right. So when he starts to write scripts, he's like, and I'm writing, and I'm good at it, and this is great, right? And he just ramps himself up, right? I mean, it's so neat, and I think that's the amazing thing about the character is that you kind of root for him, even though he's doing things he shouldn't be doing, yet you're still rooting for him to get away with it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's what I hear, like, especially people who read the books, I hear that from. And I think because in the books, like, you're completely immersed in his head, and then his head is in your head, and reading is such a specific way to consume and experience something because there's nothing else in your way. Yeah. And in that way, like in the first book, there's a murder, and you don't see anything. It's like we join up with him after the dirty work is done. So It's easier to like think, okay, well, that was the thing that had to happen. In the show, they open it up. So people who watch the show, there was a lot more conflict, like who can actually like this guy? And then see a lot of people who read the book, like, well, read the book. Like you're with him, you can't not. And I think it just depends too on the way that people are wired.
Right. Well,
and it's a fun litmus test. It's so exciting to see people take it.
For people who are listening, the first season was on Lifetime. Is that where you can find it now?
Now on Netflix.
Okay, so you can find the first season on Netflix?
Yep.
And the second season?
Netflix.
Is it out?
No, I think in a few months. I don't know have a date.
So it's not
coming.
out. Nice. It's not out currently, but you can find the first season.
And you have plenty of time to read the book.
And you can read the books.
Which you should.
I mean, you really should. I couldn't help it. I had to talk to you about the books first.
Yes.
Right. But because they are remarkable. And I really do hope you write a third.
Yes, I'm writing a third and a fourth.
You're writing a third and a fourth?
Yes.
So at the end of the second book, you're not sure what's going to happen.
Yep.
But it certainly sounds like it's going to work out.
I'll just say he's right about America's justice system. Yes.
He is.
As we see often.
Wow. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. I really was hoping it worked out for him because I was rooting for him. I kind of wanted
sweet.
him. I wanted him to be in love.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted that to work out, and the fact that he basically told her everything.
Yep.
And she was okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And she had the brother that she had always enabled and made excuses for, so she's right to be an enabler because literally born into a twindom of someone who's disturbed and upset since he was a little boy, that she's, you know, like it's in her DNA to love him. So along comes Joe, and it's like that works for her.
Right.
But no girl is ever good enough for him eventually.
That's
And,
right.
yes. They're either on a pedestal or they're on the floor.
Right. He loses his interest fast.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
He gets betrayed, and immediately goes the other way. When you read a script, you read different characters, but reading a book, the depth of the characters is so different that I wonder, how do you keep them in their own lanes? I mean,
it's real. I mean, to me, it's like I won't be into it if I can't tell who's talking. So it's like I want to design these people to best get under his skin and get under my skin. And to me, like I don't like it when I can't tell people apart. So it's like it's a natural part of the process of like, oh, who would irritate the hell out of him?
Right.
Oh, this person would.
right.
And it just and it's so fun to then bring them to life. Like in this book, I'm like it's draft after draft, and it's like, oh God, to get to a part you wrote when you didn't quite know who they were, how they talk,
Right.
and nail that line is very satisfying.
I wish I was like Joe sometimes, because Joe is not the murderous Joe, but
Right.
but Joe is such a cheerleader for himself,
Yes.
right? I mean, he's such I'm good at this, and this is working, and it's amazing because you really do think, God, if I can only be a little like that in my own life.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because I haven't thought about that a lot, but we were talking before about how my dad passed away, and I wrote the book shortly after that. And now that you say that, I'm realizing like, oh yeah, my dad was a huge cheerleader and one of those like, it's going to work out. Like you have it, you have it, you have it. And clearly death is devastating. But I remember a couple months after the death, like, oh wow, like I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't. It's like when they discontinue something
Oh,
you
you
like at the
don't have
grocery
his
store, it's not available
enthusiasm,
to
yeah.
you. You can remember it, you can like hold it in your heart, but it's not incoming anymore from a
Right.
source. So
Yep.
And did it give you a lot of?
I think now that I
energy?
think about it, I feel like that was part of where I made Joe his own cheerleader.
Oh wow. Okay, so let's
This
go back.
is therapy, you guys.
Yeah, right.
Like,
So let's go back to where we were. Thank you for letting me fan out about your books.
I
It
mean,
was
anytime.
fun. That was fun. So you're in high school, and then what happens
I
during high
took
school?
an intelligence test, and it was called the Triarchic Theory of Intelligence, where it's basically they think that there's practical, creative, or analytical intelligence.
Did you take? I think Dave took that
I did.
test.
This
right?
actually sounds like a Stranger Things episode.
Right? Yes.
Are you writing a book soon?
So what happened?
And I take the test, and they're like, "Oh, you did well," but they won't tell you your score. And because I did well on the test, I got to go to Yale for 4 weeks to take an intensive, like
Oh, my
college level
gosh.
psych class, and with all these other kids, and we're all trapped in a dorm, and it was exciting. I mean, I'd never gone to sleepaway camp or anything like that, never
Right.
been away, so it's my first time away from home. Of course, I get like an obsessive stalker psycho crush on a guy there who's a counselor in a sweet way, in a
sweet
young
way, right.
young girl way.
Yeah, yeah.
I get home from the class and I haven't slept in a month, and it was like an intense work, but I loved it. And then this guy calls the house while I'm away, and my brother thinks it's someone from there. And I get back and he calls again. And now he's like, he knows for a fact like that this is my house and that. And he did not say nice things. He said very scary things.
Oh my goodness!
And there's no way to find him. And he calls once in a while. And it was scary. And it's
Yeah.
I don't talk about it a lot
yeah,
because I'm like, I don't know who it was.
right.
And that wasn't in my mind when I wrote Joe, but I feel like it's that association of like, oh, I put myself out in the world.
Yeah.
Of course.
I come back, I have this now, this thing, like this voice that for a few years, every person I meet, I'm like, is it him? Is it him? Is it him? And it felt like bad math in my head.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing though. When you read the book, you start to think it could be anybody.
Yep.
You could be crazy. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yep.
So you go to Brown, you get out of school, you move to New York.
Yep. I forgot I was graduating because I was directing a play and I'd taken a semester off. So I was graduating in December. And I mean, I was like, I love directing this play. And then it's like, bitch, get out of your house. Like, you don't live here anymore. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go home to Cape Cod. My parents are like, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't have a job. Like, you don't have, there's no plan. I'm like, I'm a director. And I don't know. I worked at home a little bit at a bookstore, and then I applied for a job.
This all sounds very familiar, by the way.
Right? I applied for a job at a law firm in Providence because I love Providence. And it's this long process of interviews, and it was a paralegal job, and it was competitive where they're like, okay, you made it through this round, made it through that round. I'm like,
that.
Okay, and it pays well, and I get the job, and I go to Providence, I like pick out the apartment, I pick out the car, I'm packing up my things at home, and my parent, like the alarm is set, I wake up before my parents, taking stuff out of the car. I call the job, I'm like, I can't come in today. They're like, are you sick? I'm like, no, I just can't do it. I just can't.
So you never made it to
Call the apartment.
first day.
Yeah, my parents were like, let's go. I'm like, actually, I'm going to move to New York.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And it's one of those things, like any time in the first couple of years in New York that things went bad, which they did all the time, I was like, I could have had a life. Like, I would have had a dishwasher and, windows that close all the way.
Right.
And a paycheck.
and a bigger apartment.
Yeah, yes. But I had always had it in my head, like ever since the Muppets Take Manhattan, that I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to try. And
so you get to New York, and what happens?
I got a temp job at the Museum of Natural History.
Which is awesome.
So awesome. In the mammalogy department, like just so cool. And I had it really easy where the boss, her name was Pat, a wonderful woman, and she was very sweet and loved that I was a writer, so I could write my short stories, print out my scripts. And still I was like coming in late, and she's like, come on, right. You gotta. So I tried to be good. Then I started applying for journalism jobs, and I got an offer at Tiger Beat.
Now it's
the height of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, now it starts to move. Now your career is starting to move.
And I got an offer at Condé Nast at either House and Garden or Home and Garden, whatever it is. And everyone I knew was like, well, Condé Nast,
of course.
And I took Tiger Beat
right.
because I just loved I Want It That Way so much. And
dude, Tiger Beat. Do you know what Tiger Beat? You don't know nothing about Tiger Beat, do you?
I mean, I didn't read the articles. you looked at the pictures.
Yeah,
okay,
Tiger
You're
Beat.
not alone there.
Yeah. Tiger Beat has been around since I was, for years and years.
Yes.
Probably before I was born, maybe.
Yep.
And that's a long time. But so Teen Beat and Tiger Beat, yeah, they were the teen heartthrob magazines where you covered anyone who was pop culture and popular, right?
Yes, and I knew it would be like living in a sitcom, and it was. It was great and a fascinating experience.
What did you do? Did you interview?
I was associate editor Caroline.
Oh my God!
So I went to showcases where there would be bands, and we'd ask, what's your favorite color? What do you look for in a girl? And then boy
Are you
bands,
dating anybody?
Mm-hmm. And then boy bands would come in and play for us like at 9:00 in the morning in a conference room with muffins. I mean, it was insane. It was great. And also it was
nice.
almost like a master's in alliteration because everything was alliteration.
Right.
And trying to and then find new ways to say the same thing over and over again. And it was very small staff, so it was a lot of writing. So I'm like, no matter what, it was like good lesson for fiction writing because when you're writing that much and you have a deadline, you have to do it and you have to move on.
Right. So while you were working there, were you still thinking about your other stories, or were you?
Yeah, I was still. That's the through line in my life. Always writing short stories, no matter what. Like that
amazing.
really never stopped. And then I went to Entertainment Weekly, where they have fact checkers and copy editors. And
how was that?
That was an intense change because I my first assignment was the Sopranos premiere party, and I had. It's the height of that, and I had a wonderful time out all night. Hand in they told me something like 400 words. I give them 2,000 words, and there's some alliteration in there because I still have that,
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where's the tape? We need your notes and your tapes." I'm like, "I don't have any notes or tape. I went to a party."
Right.
And that was my lesson in journalism because Tiger Beat, it wasn't like that.
Right. You were just small staff, whatever you wrote, right?
So
after that, how did you handle your assignments?
Then I learned to use a tape recorder.
Nice.
And when an editor tells you that something is 400 words, you do not give them 2,000 words.
Right. You do 400 words.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how long were you there?
I was there 2 years, and then you start out there as an editorial assistant, and then you either move up or you kind of go.
Yeah.
And they had offered me the correspondent position to move up, but it was the same kind of moment in my life where I really wanted to go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been in New York for September 11th. I was kind of still shaken by it, and my boss had left. And so I took another big leap where EW had sent me out here, and I had a couple meetings with people who were like, "Oh yeah, I'll hire you." And young me was like, "Oh, I'll have to go out there and decide which job to take."
Right, of course.
So turned down the EW job, moved to LA, and believe it or not, all of those job offers at TCA, they weren't real.
Did you work at E Entertainment Television?
I did at E, yeah, when I got to LA.
And what did you do for E?
I was a kind of reporter, ghostwriter, gossip person.
That's
so
what I heard.
What a good job to get when you move here, like going to parties, eavesdropping.
Was that a secret?
Yeah, a little. I mean, yes and no. Like on the one hand, no, but on the other hand, like in the bathroom, if someone's talking to you,
you're not revealing.
You're not necessarily announcing like I will put you in the gossip column.
Right. And then what happens after E?
After E, well, then I had a movie column of my own for a little while. I was Real Girl, REEL. Ha.
Yeah.
Bad pun. And then I freelanced an episode of Seventh Heaven and another episode, and I just kept working on my own stuff and having those meetings where you go in and they're like, we love you, you're perfect, we want everything. And you call the agent like, they love me, it's perfect, I want everything. And then a day later you're like, when do I sign? And he's like, what?
Nothing's
like, no,
happening.
that was,
So explain what you mean by freelance.
I wrote an episode of Seventh Heaven, so I wasn't on staff. I just I loved Seventh Heaven. I was.
Right.
Me too.
Yes.
Mark,
You did? Oh, I love it when
here's the
someone
thing.
knows it.
Here's the thing.
Oh, good.
I actually used to work on Seventh Heaven as a stand-in for Barry, like maybe for like a month. Yeah.
Oh my God.
This was like in like 97, dude, or 98, something, 99, something like that. It was
Right.
a long time ago.
Yes.
How awesome
Anyhow,
is
yeah.
that? Wow. I didn't. Well, you're an actor.
You were on the promenade.
Yeah, and everybody was so cool.
Yeah.
Real chill,
Well,
yeah.
when everyone's making a bunch of money and everyone's beautiful,
There you go.
what's
Except
not
for
to
me.
be cool about? But Dave,
I'm not that cute, dude.
Davey Dave is an actor as well.
Oh, okay.
So if you,
I thought you looked familiar.
Oh,
there
see
you
that,
go.
Nichols?
See,
Yeah,
it
I do.
recognizes you.
Maybe you could be in You season 2.
Right.
Oh,
Hey.
Oh, could be.
Nichols, I like you, buddy.
Everything happens here.
It was where like my obsession with Seventh Heaven led to that because at EW, like I pitched Seventh Heaven all the time. And sometimes I would win. Like we did a box in the magazine. Remember Happy the dog?
Of course.
On the show, they would turn to Happy for reaction shots, and it was just one of those aspects of Seventh Heaven was just amazing. Like, because it's a dog, so it's
Right.
always like. So finally, I got my wish, and there was a box in the issue of like Happy reaction shots. And then I compared the show to the Osbournes when that came out because it was like they're the same at heart, like two different ways of being quirky.
Yeah.
So the showrunner liked that and sent me roses, and I sent her spec scripts.
That's cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you. So you did. You worked on Seventh Heaven. Then, was that your first job?
That was
writing?
my first screenwriting.
TV? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there were a couple little things before that, like that didn't, and nothing happened with Bit Tiny
Right.
thing, but like years ago.
And then, did you write on any other shows?
Secret Life of the American Teenager. I was on staff there for a year.
Wow, awesome. So at this point, you're thinking what everyone else is thinking. This girl's got talent. This is what she's going to be doing.
And that's always when things don't work out.
Right.
Yes.
So what happens next?
I wasn't brought back for season 2, and I kind of had an idea that it was coming, but I wasn't prepared for it. And that was like, so I made a short film because it was like, okay, like I've always wanted to do this, so that's what credit cards are made for. And that was another learning experience where I'm like, oh, I wrote the short story, so I'm going to base it on something I wrote. All you do is take the short story, pop it into a script. No. I mean, by the first page, I was like, this doesn't work in here, in this
Right.
medium, this doesn't work, this doesn't work.
Right.
And I was really into that. And of course, everything you think is going to cost one thing costs much,
Right.
much more. And the nightmare is just building, but it's so exciting.
Yeah.
And then my dad got sick, so there was kind of a pause on that where I left LA for a couple of years.
So you don't get renewed for season 2. You start working on your short. You haven't finished your short. So you go hang out with your dad for a couple of years.
Yes.
And where in Cape Cod?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And then it's getting darker and darker. It's
Yeah.
like anyone who's dealt with cancer, it's like a horror movie in slow motion
Yes.
where
My
you-
dad.
Oh, you did? Okay. So you know when everyone says, oh, we're fighting, and when you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
And
It's tough to see.
it really is. To me, it's life-altering.
It's surreal.
Yep. And walking in the other room knowing that, like, what's it like to be dying? To
Yes.
know that you're going to die.
I
I mean,
think
it was
about that
all
all
I
the
could
time.
think about. I'm not writing. I'm, like,
You're not.
watching as many soft romantic comedies as I can and
yeah.
just crying and kind of screaming like I can't focus because it's, like, the clock ticking and the slow, like, every week a little worse, a little worse. Yes.
Dark
just dark.
place.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
which
Very,
most of
very
us
Mm-hmm.
have gone or will go.
Yeah, my friend, she, in the middle of all this, her mother died very unexpectedly, suddenly. And we were like, there's literally no good way for this to happen because she had come to visit my dad. She knew him very well, and it was so nice. And on the one hand, when you die slowly like that, everyone gets to say goodbye. On the other hand, everyone has to say goodbye, and everyone it's this. But then to lose someone so unexpectedly out of the blue, there's a whole other kind of hell. I'm like, there's just no easy way.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. I know it was a while ago.
Yours too.
Dads and daughters are really cool. So your dad passes. What happens?
I get strep throat, and I go to the emergency room, and they're like, oh, like everything seems worse because, you know, you're depressed and you're in mourning. But I had this weird feeling. Like something just didn't feel right. And a couple days later, in the middle of the night, I'm like realizing that the only way I can drink water is by like tilting my head and pouring it on my face. So, and I can't talk. So I go and get a notepad and I write down to my mom, like, I think we have to go to the emergency room. That's like, we've lived for 2 years in this emergency room.
Oh, no.
We get there and immediately it's like something is not right in there. And there's a shot, and a doctor who had been great with my dad comes in. He's like, you know, there's a very rare chance that this is some kind of a blockage, but probably not. Like, there's no way after everything you've been through. And get the scan or the MRI. He comes back, closes the door, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's a blockage, and the only doctor who can operate is in Chatham. We're getting him, but I knew that I would, like, you know, when you're dying, and I knew, like, oh yeah, like I had that feeling, like I was almost calm because it was like, all right, I'm not crazy.
Wait
like,
a minute, what did you have?
It's like epiglottitis, and it was a very rare type of thing, and just in a city, I feel like they see it more.
Yeah.
But this was Cape Cod in the winter. And the doctor gets there, and I live, and it was like very exciting. I lived, but then I couldn't talk, and they hurt my throat with the breathing tube because the surgery was in such a rush.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just
man.
I go back to LA, I can't talk out loud. No, it's a very confusing thing to explain, especially when you can't talk.
Yeah.
One voice therapist tells me to start speaking in a high-pitched British accent, and that is like a good way to lose your friends and annoy yourself. and I'm working as a reporter too, so it's another like. I'm told not to go to loud places, not to drink, because when you're in a loud place, you talk louder. And it's like, well, I have to pay my rent.
Right.
And I mean, I have so much debt from the movie.
Right.
And just like, I'm like, oh my God, I mean, talking about it now, I feel like my heart rate's going up because I just remember thinking,
oh, no.
How does this end? Like
Right.
So I was freelance reporting for Yahoo, and then also wanting to write something. And every time in the past when I try to write a book, I would turn into someone else. Like my short stories were always very like weird and voicey and like, you know, dark. But something happened when I thought of it as a novel where I'd be like, it was raining that night, and you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna write this big fat short story, and tried it like 10 different ways. And then one day I was in a Starbucks and Joe like was in my head, and it was like, oh, this is how he talks. This is
Right.
And it was very therapeutic.
I read somewhere that you were in the Starbucks and that you started, like, you were making odd eye contact with people. Is that how
Yes.
it started? Really?
And I was I feel like I had been annoyed at people not getting up when they were on Facebook. And I sat down and opened my computer. What do? Facebook. And I had that moment of like, oh God, like everyone's looking at everyone, thinking everyone's in it. Can I say?
Yeah,
asshole?
sure. Yeah.
And then it just feels so good. Like it's that magic, like, experience where I'm pulling the car over to make notes. I'm telling myself, you're only allowed to do this for 3 hours today, and then jumping into it.
How long did it take you to write you?
I think about 8 or 9 months. And it was like, to anyone who's trying to write while they have a job, like to me, that job helped me finish that book because I never knew when I was going to get hit. Like the way it worked was an editor would send me a trailer that was released. Like, oh, here's this. We need 500 words on this within an hour. And it was like, okay, like I can't work on my book right now. So then you have to do your work when you're doing your work. And after you hit send, you don't go on Facebook and mess around because you know you have to write that book.
Right.
Because like you don't know when you're going to get hit again.
So
now I invent things like that in my life since I don't have that journalism job. Like,
right. So one of the things that's remarkable about the book is the point of view. People write about it. People talk about it. After reading it, it is pretty remarkable that you never really hear from anyone but your lead character, Joe.
Yep.
I mean, you hear it all through him. Did that occur immediately?
That was immediate for me because it was that, like, I guess after the time that I'd gone through and I'd had a lot of dark thoughts. And then because I couldn't talk out loud, I'd been writing on a notepad, and my notepads were disturbing because there were so many, like I'd say awful things and then put a smiley face. So it kind of started with that of like, what if someone got inside this guy, someone's head, any of our heads? And there would be times when the person sounded a little off, like no matter who you are.
Right.
So that was like my idea was virtual reality. Like you are immersed, like the helmet is on your head, you're in him, like it or not. There is no escape. That's part of the claustrophobia, and it was part of the like what like where it was cathartic for me to like be in this totally different place in my head.
Did you think at any point this is not going to work?
Probably like 10 times a day. You know,
Really?
if it's writing, it's like 1 hour, like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. This is hard. Like, this doesn't work at all. And then the more like you, like, especially when he's killing people and I'm like, I don't want that person. Like, I like that character. I don't want to kill them.
Right.
But at the same time,
They had to go.
yes.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was never going to jump into another perspective. You, to me, I would say, like, is one of the scariest, like, but most romantic words, because love is like love is for everyone. But when someone says you, it's like your spine tingles because that's just you.
Right.
And I think that's, it's great. And then it can be awful.
Right.
When you know if you were someone's you. And
Remarkable and well told and sexy, by the way, very sexy. Very,
gotta
very
lift those
sexy.
spirits.
Well, there was so much going on. There's so much going on in your writing. I mean, there's sexiness from his point of view. I mean, there were many things that were very specifically male that I thought,
I had a couple guys I would ask periodically. like,
what would you do?
hey, remember when
Or
we used to go out? Do you want to read this thing? Like,
Right. Oh, really? And then they'd be like, hey, something like
Yeah.
that. Right. Okay, good. Because I was like, wow, there's so much going on. Sexiness. There's a flirtation. There's her lines. There's his lines. There's getting together, it falling apart. All of it.
Yep.
There was so much from the male standpoint and from the female standpoint that I thought, wow. I mean, there's got to be some research happening around here somewhere, right? Yeah.
And then it's when life is research.
Right. That's right. So you write a big publisher came into the picture, right?
Yep. Simon & Schuster.
Simon & Schuster said, wait a minute, hold everything. This is an important voice. And then your book became a big hit. Can I tell you, I was watching Jimmy Fallon one night. Right?
Last summer.
Was it last summer? And I'm watching Jimmy Fallon, and he's like, I guess he had some sort of summer book club or something. And he goes, we're going to pick one of these books. And he put up your book.
That's great.
Yes.
Which book was it? Was it
That
you?
was Providence.
It was Providence,
Yeah,
right.
that
it
was
Providence.
crazy. That was a really exciting.
Did you know about that? Did you know it was going to happen?
I did, but I wasn't allowed to tell anyone.
Oh.
And I just had the book, I think it had come out just a week ago. And that night I had an event with Lena Dunham at Romans. And I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. And I'm like, this is like, my brain's going to explode from like too much in one day.
Wow.
Because then it aired like during the event and then rushed to a bar with friends and like watch it on TV. It was just, yeah.
It has affected a lot of people. People really, really love you. They love Hidden Bodies. They love Providence. So like you're a big time writer now.
Oh, weird.
Isn't that weird?
That's not how it felt this morning.
When you woke up. But it is. You have people who love your writing, love your books, can't get enough of it.
Mm-hmm. That's an absolute dream come true.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. I need to read a couple of quotes just because this is incredible. So Stephen King tweeted about you. He said, hypnotic, scary, plenty of snark. That's pretty cool, right?
That's cool.
I don't know if this is the full quote or not, but Lena Dunham describes Hidden Bodies as delicious and insane. She was riveted, aroused.
Okay.
Aroused.
Very exciting. Did you know Lena beforehand, or
No?
Okay,
no.
so you met her because she read your book.
Yes, it's absolutely powerful to every day hear from people in all different parts of the world, in all different businesses who like are moved. I mean, that blows my mind. That's when you say, "Oh, are you sick of talking about this?" No, of course not. I can't fucking believe it.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah,
amazing.
I want you to know that from where we sit, you're pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Your career is inspiring, and I think I wrote that to you in an email.
You did,
and I think it's important that people hear, where you came from and how you did it. I think one thing that defines your career is that you definitely were born to write. It's in your DNA. If you don't do it, if you don't get it out of you, you're not going to be a happy person.
Yep.
Itchy and bitchy.
And you got to love writing more than, other things.
Yeah.
That's the key to me too. Like,
So
and you got to just do it a lot. Like
you got to find it, right? You got to find it. If you love it, do it.
Yep.
And find a time to make it happen. So you wrote Big Hit. You wrote the sequel, Big Hit. Greg Berlanti and Sarah Gamble
Yep.
produced the television series. There's a second season of that. You can find them on Netflix. And you wrote Providence, and everything you're doing seems to be working out.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm writing 2 more books for Random House, 2 more U books. And then I have another book that I wrote, but that's going to be out, I think, in a couple of years, about a woman who has some issues.
Yeah. And besides that, is there anything in the movie space or in the TV space, or do you just not have time for that?
I wrote a pilot with John Stamos. He was Dr. Nicky on You, so that was just a really fun experience. We'll see if something happens with that, but it's right now. I'm like, I have to finish this book.
I've got to watch the series. He's Dr. Nicky?
Yes.
How perfect is that?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, when Joe shows up, because when Joe goes to see Dr. Nicky, I love that he's going in there to really like be upset, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, this guy is good," and then he just kind of falls in love with him on his own, right? So that's kind of funny.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I really wanted people to hear your story. It's inspiring, it's amazing, and it didn't all just happen overnight.
No. Not remotely. Yes.
Yeah. The one through line in your story is that you're very talented, and you found what was important to you and in your heart and in your soul, and you wrote about it.
Yeah. And to find out like what works for you. I feel like it's like everything in life. Like
Yeah.
I like those deadlines, so I make them for myself. My calendar looks like there's something wrong with me where it's like 13-14, 14-15, 15-65,
So you've sort of been giving it throughout the podcast, but any advice for any young writers out there?
Yeah, find what works for you and write. I don't think that you can say write every day. It's not realistic for some people, but you do have to. It does require discipline. Get it out of your head onto the page. It's so much better to have something that's horrible that you get to rewrite than to have nothing. And it's like building anything. You just got to lay that foundation and then over and over and over and over again.
That's great advice. I'm really bummed that I didn't do something with you before you became famous.
Well, there's time yet.
Really? You heard it here. You heard it here.
Everything happens here, Mark.
Everything happens here, and let's get into it. Well, thanks again. Thank you, guys. Tootie will be back next week, and
make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Let's Get Into It. And send us a DM if you want to have any questions or anything like that.
Yeah, there's been lots of questions. We've been talking to a lot of filmmakers about what they want to do, and I've sent out pieces of advice here and there.
Yep.
Nichols, thanks for coming in.
Anytime.
My man.
All right, guys.
And thanks, guys.
Thank
This was
you.
fun.
That was great.
I hope you had fun. I hope you'll come back.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we'll come back and talk about your other stuff.
Absolutely.
As
Now
it
I know how to get here.
As it continues to happen.
I have the worst sense of direction, so it helps.
All right, well, thank you guys for listening to Let's Get Into It. See you next time.
Yay.
I love that.